I want to tell a story that happened to me years ago. Back then, my wife and I had a happy life. My wife Zara was a cheerful person. Her family was large, with her grandmother, uncles, and aunts. But there was always a sense of mystery among them, or at least, that's what I believed. One day, her grandmother invited us over for dinner. They lived in an old apartment. Her grandmother was a kind, experienced woman. After dinner, the elderly woman was showing Zara an old photo album. The album was filled with old items, and there was talk of an old chest that piqued my interest. The chest was made of rosewood and beautifully carved. I hesitantly asked if I could take a look inside, and Zara's grandmother kindly agreed. From the chest, she pulled out a small box, a tiny chest with a little lock on it. When I asked what it was, the old woman brushed it off, saying, "There's nothing in it, son, nothing at all." Zara, curious, asked, "What's really inside it?" The old woman took a deep breath and said to me, "This box was passed down from my grandmother, and to her from her mother. When I die, it'll go to your mother, and then to you. We've always carried this box, but we never open it, my dear, and you won't either. Don't ask why, because there is no reason." I was truly intrigued. Perhaps this was the most mysterious thing I'd ever heard about her family. A box passed down for generations, yet never opened. On the way home after dinner, I asked Zara what she thought the box was. "Probably nothing. Maybe just old photos or something like that," she said. But it wasn't so simple for me. I really wanted to know what was inside. That night, I even dreamed about the box. In my dream, when I opened it, I found jewels and old photographs. A young woman even appeared and thanked me. When I told Zara about the dream in the morning, she laughed. "You're way too obsessed with that box," she said. So I waited, and on a holiday, I took Zara back to her grandmother's house. This time, I planned to take the box, open it, and just peek inside without touching anything, then return it. That's exactly what I did. Somehow, I managed to slip the box into my bag without telling Zara. That night, around 1 a.m., I got up secretly and went into the living room. From inside the box, I pulled out a tarnished old ring and a notebook. The notebook was yellowed and written in an old language I couldn't understand. I photographed every page. Then, I closed the box and hid it away again. That night, the same young woman appeared in my dream again and thanked me. The next morning, I sent the photos to a friend of mine from university who knows old languages and asked him to translate them for me. It was a short text anyway. Zara didn't wake up early that day, which actually worked in my favor. I had a quick call with my academic friend and told him it was a story I found. He promised to send the translation later that day. Just as the call ended, Zara woke up. She looked pale and said she felt sick. "Who are you talking to?" she asked. Not as a normal question, but with suspicion. "Just an old friend from college, Chamal," I said, trying to dismiss it, but she didn't seem convinced. That day, Zara was constantly cold toward me. Every time I looked at my phone, she asked, "Who is it this time?" And when I went shopping, she suspiciously asked, "Did you meet someone?" This wasn't the Zara I knew. I thought maybe she was just sick and would get better in a few days, but things kept getting worse. I still hadn't returned the box. I needed an excuse to go back to her grandmother's house and put it back, but I couldn't even leave the house without Zara becoming suspicious. Samal still hadn't sent the translations either. One evening, as Zara and I were watching TV, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, a woman I didn't know was standing there. When I asked if I could help, it turned out she had come to the wrong apartment. She was supposed to go upstairs. But Zara, who saw her, suddenly became more aggressive than I had ever seen. She was shouting. Her eyes looked darker than usual. After a few hours of silence, she made me coffee. I thought maybe she wanted to make peace. She had calmed down a bit. Later, Chamal called and said he had sent the translations by email. Finally, some good news, or so I thought. But I couldn't check my computer that day. The next evening, after work, Zara made me coffee again. Everything seemed fine. I wanted to open my computer and read the translation, but I was feeling weak and sore. This whole ordeal had really worn me out. As I started reading the story, I grew more horrified with every sentence. A woman, after her husband betrayed her, took a terrible revenge. She slowly poisoned him, then eventually chopped him into pieces with an axe. She wrote the end of her story with bloody hands, just minutes before taking her own life. Finally, she left her bloody ring on top of the letter. At that moment, I started trembling uncontrollably. The tarnished ring in the box. Could it really be that bloody ring? I should have never opened that box. When I looked up, Zara was gone. I had just seen her sitting there. That's when it hit me. I had to return that box immediately. I decided I would deal with it tomorrow. That night, I went to bed early. I woke up around midnight with stomach pain. I sat up to get some water. Zara was lying next to me. I didn't even turn on the light so I wouldn't wake her. As I walked down the hallway, I heard whispering. Could it be a thief? I crept toward the sound on my toes. In one of the rooms, I saw Zara on her knees talking to herself. No, I can't do this," she was muttering. "Wait, if Zara is here, then who was lying in bed next to me?" I felt faint and passed out. When I woke up in the morning, I was in bed. Zara was watching over me, and her grandmother was there too. "What happened to me?" I asked. Zara said, "I found you collapsed in the hallway last night." Her grandmother looked at me and said, "Son, are you not eating well?" Then she turned to Zara and said, "My dear, go make some soup for your husband," sending her to the kitchen. I was sitting upright on the couch when the old woman leaned in and whispered, "We must not turn on the water, my son." I froze. "No, I didn't turn on any water," I stammered. Then she leaned in closer and said, "We mustn't open that box. Do you really believe that the thing in the kitchen is Zara?" She glanced over her shoulder to make sure Zara wasn't listening. "What are you saying, Grandma?" I asked. She said, "You opened the cursed one. Now the spirit is attached to Zara, just like it did to her great-grandmother, and she won't stop until she kills you." I wanted to believe it was a joke, but she was deadly serious. "You feel weak, don't you? You've had no energy for days," she asked. "Yes, but how do you know?" I replied. "It's all written in that letter. Just like her ancestor, Zara is poisoning you. She's going to kill you. If I hadn't noticed the box was missing and come here last night, she would have already done it. Don't eat or drink anything she gives you. Come to my house as soon as you can," she said. That day, I poured everything Zara gave me down the toilet. At the first chance, I left the house. I had no strength left. Maybe I should have gone to a hospital, but I went straight to the old woman's house. She welcomed me in and said, "This spirit has haunted our family for years. We never opened that box. When you opened it, the spirit latched onto Zara. It's clouding her mind. Isn't there any way to fix this?" I asked. "There is, but it's long and difficult. We can handle it, but you'll need to be far away for at least a year," she said. At that point, she was the only person I could trust. I did as she said. I moved to another city for a whole year. I couldn't even go back home. I had ruined my life with my own hands. Nothing would ever be the same again. The event took place about 17 years ago, in a village near the Ara border. To get to the beginning of the event, my father-in-law's family was considered quite wealthy in that region. My father-in-law was a relatively educated government official living in the city. At the time of the event, he was in the village for the summer holiday. During the summer months, they took their livestock to the highland pastures, with a few shepherds watching over them. The shepherds lived in tents for about 3 to 4 months. As some know, in the eastern and southeastern regions, Armenians used to live there, and many villages remain from them. Much of the land and buildings were expropriated from Armenians. Near this area, there is a highland close to such ruins. The old ruins are still visible. One night, a shepherd wakes up to the barking of dogs. Thinking it might be wolves, he goes towards the direction of the dogs but sees nothing around. The place where the dogs are is a sort of ruins. He calls the dogs back and returns. The next night, the same sounds occur at the same place, but again, nothing is found. The shepherds get suspicious and go during the day to check. Among the ruins, they find a hole about 1/2 meter in diameter, probably a burrow made by rats or foxes. They think the dogs are barking at this and don't pay much attention. The next night, hearing the same noises again, the shepherd wakes and goes there once more, and this time, he sees fire coming from the hole. Excited, he wakes the other 2 shepherds, and they see a blue flame. Since this region has many natural hot springs and gas vents underground, they think it is natural gas, or something burning. They even feel happy, thinking it might be valuable. In the morning, when they go to the hole again, the fire is out. They take shovels and start digging the hole. After digging a bit, they reach a large room-like area and get confused. They think there might be treasure here, so they start breaking the walls. Eventually, they find a small chest. Opening it, they find hair, teeth, bones wrapped in a rag, and a piece of leather with writing they later learn is in Armenian script. However, a disgusting smell spreads immediately. They take the chest with them back to the tent. When they approach the animals, all the sheep scatter wildly. Chaos erupts around. The dogs bark, the sheep run out of the pen crazily, and the shepherds try to chase them. At first, they do not associate this event with the chest. Then, realizing this can't go on, they send someone to the village with the chest to show someone who might know what it is. The one they show it to is my father-in-law. Because he is educated, he looks at the letters, confirms they are Armenian, but seeing the bones says, "Don't bother, just get rid of this filth." Of course, the shepherds don't listen and hide the chest to ask others, but with the chest near, it's impossible to tend to the animals properly. One of them wakes up suspecting some kind of curse. He takes the chest to a religious healer, a hoxha, who deals with such matters. When they arrive at the healer's house, the healer sees the chest from the garden and says, "Leave the chest outside and come in." The shepherd enters, and the healer asks where he found the chest. The shepherd explains. The healer asks what's inside. The shepherd describes it. The healer says, "There is a burial site where this chest was found, an Armenian burial, but they tied such a demon to it that it could afflict your entire family. One of his clan is currently waiting at the garden gate for the chest. By opening it, you released the demon. Before it harms you, take it back, cover it. Recite these prayers, and don't meddle with the burial. These beings won't leave your family alone. The shepherd is very scared, but intrigued by the burial site. He takes the chest back. He explains everything to the other shepherds. They are terrified but decide not to abandon the treasure. They take a Quran and perform ablutions, then decide to dig at night to avoid attracting attention. That night, they dig for several hours but find nothing, so they return to the tent and try to sleep, but the animals don't stop making noise. Finally, they take the chest back to the digging site, and the noises stop. The next morning, the sight they see is horrible. Over 100 sheep have died in the pen. The dogs are missing. There is no blood or signs of a fight, no marks on the animals, but all appear swollen and stiff. Panicked, they go to the village. News spreads quickly. The gendarmerie and others are informed, but except for the shepherds and healer, no one knows about the curse. Out of fear, the shepherds don't tell about the burial and finally confess under pressure. My father-in-law's family is upset and goes with them to the healer. The healer says, "I warned them, but apparently they didn't listen. There are 3 demons after these 3. They are waiting at the door. I've never seen or heard anything like them before, so powerful and terrifying." He tells my father-in-law's family to consider the sheep deaths as a sacrifice and not to get involved with this matter, warning that if they do, worse troubles will come. To the shepherds, he says, "I can't handle this. Go to Erzurum. There is a man who can help. If he accepts, great. Otherwise, you're doomed." Outside, relatives of my father-in-law beat the shepherds with sticks and chase them away. They slaughter sacrifices in 10 other villages to try to close the matter. But the brave shepherds decide to take the gold, since they are already involved in the mess. One of them refuses and says he will go to Erzurum to get rid of this. The next day, he leaves and disappears without a trace. No sign of life or death. The other 2 don't know about this and go to dig at night again. They find a chest and, excited, open it only to find it full of women's hair. They don't understand the situation. They dig until morning. When they go to rest in a secluded place, the shepherd's phone rings. His wife fell into a stove and was severely burned. They rush her to the hospital, but she dies. They both know the situation but have no choice. They decide not to tell anyone and abandon the matter. The other shepherd goes to make a sacrifice immediately out of fear. Then he goes to the healer and suggests getting help from the Erzurum man. The healer gives an address and sends them to Erzurum. The man in Erzurum is deeply involved in these matters and is well known in the region. I could not learn his name, but many say there is such a man in Erzurum. The shepherd contacts him. The man immediately says, "Come, I've been waiting for you." Without hearing the shepherd's story, the man begins talking. He says, "I've been waiting to see who would release this demon. You won the lottery, but you can't solve this with sacrifices or money. First, you have to find the missing friend, but he is currently trapped somewhere and cannot leave. They took him on the way to me. If you 3 come together, we can burn this demon here. If one is missing, it won't work." He gives the location, the ruins where they found the chest. They tell the other shepherd and meet at the location. They find the missing shepherd there, but in terrible condition. His clothes are dirty, his face and hands wounded, nails torn. When they see him, he shouts at them to leave. They approach while reading the prayers the healer told them. They say, "We will take you and save you." He replies, "They won't let me go. The one inside won't let me." They look inside. No one is there, but the walls are pitch black. Only some leather and bones remain. "Who won't let you go?" they ask. "It's sitting there. The others are outside," he says. They try to drag him outside, but it's impossible. When they reach the exit, he seems tied by an invisible rope, suspended in the air. They call the Erzurum man. He tells them to blindfold the shepherd and sprinkle water he gave them on him. They do this, and the man acts burned and runs around, but they pull him outside. He wakes a little and says, "Let's escape." They're all angry. They try to flee, but he can't escape. According to the shepherd, he was lifted 2 or 3 meters into the air and slammed down repeatedly, screaming, before being dragged back into the hole. After this, they flee the scene and call Erzurum man again. He says, "Your friend is gone. There are 2 of you left. Come to me immediately." They get in the car and head to Erzurum. At the man's house, others are waiting outside. It's their turn to enter. The man says, "Your friend died, but the demon inside him died too. Even if you look, you won't find his body." This made the demons angry. "Now we must remove the demon inside you without harming you." The shepherd whose wife died is told, "The demon possessed your wife first, then burned her along with the spirit inside. But the demon still remains inside your friend. Can you see the one sitting next to me?" The wife's widower says no. The man turns to the other shepherd, who says yes. He can see it. So the demon inside is visible only to the other. The man continues, "The demon inside can hear us and understands, but it can't harm you or anyone here because it's sealed itself to you. Wherever you go, it follows, haunts your sleep, food, drink, and home. It won't leave until it controls you. To deal with this, we will bind a hoodum to you. Now let me explain the hoodum. The hoodum is one of the powerful but benevolent entities like a leader. Controlling hoodums is very difficult. They help only if they want to, and skilled people are required. To get help from the hoodum, the man gives the shepherd certain prayers. He instructs them to bury 7 amulets in 7 separate places. There are a few more details he didn't explain, probably fearing complications. After these instructions, they leave Erzurum. On the way back at night, the possessed shepherd asks to stop to urinate. They get off at a facility. He goes to the bathroom. The other smokes. When he doesn't return for a while, the other becomes suspicious. He checks the bathroom. No one there. The possessed shepherd is seen wandering in the back fields. He calls him back. The moment I heard his voice, I knew it wasn't him, says the shepherd. He tells the gas station attendant that his friend is sick and asks to bring him back. The attendant watches as the man runs off into the fields. The attendant is scared and won't follow. The shepherd chases after him. In the dark, he finds him crouched down. When approached, the possessed man makes choking noises, like his throat is cut and he's bleeding. His face is blackened as if burned, and he growls. His sound resembles a call to prayer, Ezan. The shepherd doesn't understand the meaning, but tries reciting the Ezan, though the other insists, Ezan. The shepherd calls Erzurum again. The man says, don't let him rest until dawn prayer. If needed, tie him up somewhere or they will take him. The reason for waiting until dawn is that these entities are active between the night prayer and dawn prayer. After dawn prayer, their influence decreases, and the person comes to themselves. The shepherd supports him to the gas station, washing his face, giving him water, then decides to keep watch at a mosque to protect him. However, he cannot get him inside the mosque. Finally, he locks him in the car and watches over him. The gas station staff becomes scared and kick them out. Desperate, the shepherd speeds off while the other sleeps in the back. Suddenly, the possessed man opens the door and jumps out, falling heavily. The other stops the car and gets out, but the man is gone. It's dark, and he can't see anything. He calls and searches with headlights, but the man is missing. Again, he calls Erzurum, who says, they took him, but since it's close to dawn prayer, maybe he will survive. Half an hour later, dawn prayer time arrives. The shepherd waits in the car. When the light comes, he shouts for his friend, going far away from the car. Then his friend calls him from somewhere. He finds him holding a bone piece with shapes and writing on it. The man doesn't remember anything but has regained consciousness. They call Erzurum again. The man says, bring him to me. They leave again. The man seems normal but remembers nothing except the house, the barn. The children keep appearing before my eyes. They search his house. Nothing wrong. Upon arriving Erzurum, they tell the man the situation. When the man sees the bone, he panics and orders a search for their house, telling them to flee. But the house is on fire. People are screaming that children are inside. The man becomes frantic, wanting to go, but is stopped, warning that if they fail, worse will come. The bone has the names of the child and wife on it. The wife was outside at the time, so the child was inside. News comes that they rescued the child, but he was badly burned. They take him to the hospital. The man says, you go to your child, and you go bury the amulets. You have until night prayer to finish this. I'll come with the burned child. They are scared and hurry to resolve the matter. They arrive in Aura and bury the amulets at the designated places, which are caves, ruins, or mountaintops. At each place, the shepherd loses control, speaks unintelligible words, talks to someone, and cries. After burying, he returns to normal. They bury all 7 amulets and drink the water the man gave, then return. The burned child's condition is bad but improving. The house is completely burned, including 2 cows and a hayloft. If the amulets had been buried in time, none of this would have happened. The man explained that the amulets contained messages asking for help from 7 clans. If all 7 clans agree, the possession can be lifted and the demon will leave. But if one amulet is moved or lost, the protection ends and the demon will return even after 100 years. After doing all this, the shepherds are freed from the trouble. One of the shepherds disappears and no body is found. The gendarmerie investigates but finds nothing. Another shepherd's wife dies. That shepherd continues living in the village. The 3rd shepherd's child survives death, but the family moves from the village to Van after their house burns down.